By now, I bet we are all thinking, when can we catch a break? The past 2 years have been crazy with everything going on in the world, but it seems like we aren't going to have a better year this year. According to famous prophet and seer Nostradamus, 2022 is going to be one hell of a year. From an AI takeover to nuclear war, let's discuss this and more only on Life's Biggest Questions. In 1555, Michael de Nostradamus, aka Nostradamus, published a book titled Les Prophéties. This book featured 942 poetic quatrains that allegedly foretold the future. And a number of predictions have come true already. Let's take a look at some that are set to come true this year. Starting off, we have the major earthquake. According to Nostradamus, sometime this year, a major earthquake is going to occur. He wrote, and I quote, "In the depth of Asia and India, the earth will shake and the sea will rise." Some assume that both Japan and India will be hit with a gnarly earthquake. Japan has been hit with a number of bad earthquakes over the years, the most devastating one being the Great Kanto earthquake. It happened in 1923 and over 100,000 people lost their lives. The earthquake was already disastrous as is, but then it caused a 40-foot high tsunami and then a number of fires broke out. This could happen all over again with this new earthquake. And since Japan has a higher population now, that means thousands of more individuals could be affected. Quite scary, isn't it? Next on the list, we have the meteors. In 2021 alone, we were faced with a number of close calls and near misses with asteroids or meteor impacts. We got lucky, but we may not be lucky this year. According to Nostradamus, this year might be the year that we get wiped out by a meteor or asteroid. He wrote about a long trail of sparks in the sky made of fire crashing down on Earth. He also said, and I quote, "Fire do I see that from the sky shall fall." Now, if some of us survive the initial impact, chances are we will be wiped out by the following disasters that ensue, like an earthquake or tsunami or all of the above. Now, NASA is currently monitoring any space object that is coming close to Earth, so far we are good, but who really knows? Next up, we have the climate war. By now, you're probably noticing that Nostradamus mainly predicts negative events. I wish he predicted things to look forward to, not dread. Anyways, another prediction he made for 2022 is that a climate war will break out. He said, and I quote, "Under the opposite Babylonian climate, great will be without the outpouring." And people somehow interpreted that as a climate war. With climate change and global warming getting really bad, we could see a shortage of resources in one country, which could lead to them attacking a neighboring country to obtain more resources. Because if they are scarce, no one is going to share their resources. It's going to be every country for themselves. Going along with the climate theme, Nostradamus also predicted a series of droughts and floods. He said, and I quote, "For 40 years the rainbow will not be seen. For 40 years it will be seen every day, the dry earth will grow more parched, and there will be great floods when it is seen." So people interpreted this as we will be faced with uncontrollable and unpredictable weather. We will be affected by disastrous droughts and then floods. We'd go from one extreme to another. And this does not surprise me. Environmentalists and scientists all say that we are at the point of no return when it comes to climate change and global warming. And droughts and floods are some scary effects of climate change along with more extreme storms. Nostradamus also had a number of predictions about war. In fact, he predicted that a nuclear bomb will be dropped in 2022 and that it will have dire consequences on Earth. Now, he didn't say exactly when or which country or why, but with the current tension between Russia and Ukraine, it's not hard to believe that this might happen. God forbid, it would bring us one step closer to the end of the world. Millions would die, the Earth would be destroyed, and the last thing we want is to have a nuclear war. Let's take a look at the bombing of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, for example. It's said that between 70,000 to 135,000 people died in Hiroshima and 60,000 to 80,000 died in Nagasaki. These bombs were so powerful that people up to a mile of it were vaporized. All that was left of them were their shadows burnt into stone. Those that did survive were at a risk for developing cancer. Thousands developed cancer, and as the survivors aged, their risk of radiation-associated cancer increased as well. The whole world would be affected by a nuclear war, so let's pray that it does not get to this point. Next, we have AI. All the advancements that we have made in technology are insane. Now we have artificial intelligence with smart fridges, homes, and self-driving cars. But everything comes with a price. According to Nostradamus, this year we will be faced with an AI takeover. It is said that artificial intelligence will become smarter than human intelligence, which isn't too hard to believe. His prediction said, and I quote, "The moon in the full of night over the high mountain, the new sage with a lone brain sees it. By his disciples invited to be immortal, eyes to the south, hands in bosoms, bodies in the fire." Now I know this seems very cryptic, but a lot of people are convinced that he was referring to artificial intelligence overthrowing humans. Soon we are going to create robots that will be too smart for their own good. Maybe it's too late. The last prediction I want to talk about surrounds inflation and starvation. Nostradamus predicted, and I quote, "So high the price of wheat that man is stirred, his fellow man to eat in his despair." And this year, the price of everything has gone up like crazy. I mean, don't get me started on the price of gas. But it's not just that. The cost of living is going up too. Food is getting more expensive. Some people can barely afford to put food on the table for themselves. But Nostradamus' prediction takes it one step further. People interpreted that last part of "the fellow man to eat in his despair" as people getting so desperate that they start to eat each other. Again, we can only hope that it doesn't get to that point. So I know these are all predictions and a lot of people might be skeptical. Well, let me share with you some creepy predictions that Nostradamus accurately predicted. He predicted JFK's assassination, 9/11, the atomic bomb, Hitler's reign, Napoleon's conquest, the Great Fire of London, and the death of Henry II. For example, for the Great Fire of London, he predicted, and I quote, "The blood of the just will be lacking in London. Burnt up in the fire of 66, the ancient lady will topple from her high place. Many of the same sect will be killed." And on September 2nd, 1666, in London, a small fire in a bakery turned into a 3-day fire that consumed the city. Thousands of houses and businesses were burned, as well as a number of people lost their lives. Do you believe in Nostradamus' prediction-telling powers? Do you believe that some of these predictions might come true this year? If you said yes, then let me know which one of these predictions you think is most likely to come true. And while you're down in the comment section, feel free to give this video a like and obviously subscribe to our channel to stay up to date with our daily uploads. I've been your host, Lindsay Ivan, and I'll see you when I see ya.